These are the worst things to happen to lottery winners. The murder of Abraham Shakespeare. In Florida 2006, a man was driving with his coworker going on a trip to Miami. They stopped at a convenience store to grab some drinks. They were feeling thirsty. "Oh, you want lottery tickets instead of a Coke?" "Oh, alright." His coworker accepted his offer and bought him 2 lottery tickets worth $2. Little did he know those tickets would actually be worth $30 million. Now hold on, it's not that much. After tax, it was more like a measly $17 million. After Abraham won, his coworker that bought the tickets wanted a share of at least $1 million. What you may not know about Abraham is that he's the most generous man ever. Anyone who would come up to him and say they needed their bills to be paid or get a mortgage, a funeral, he would pay for it. But since his coworker was so adamant and rude about giving him a share, Abraham just straight up refused. His coworker was pissed, so he attempted suing him and claiming that he stole the lottery tickets out of his wallet. He of course didn't, and the judge also didn't believe him either, so he didn't receive his $1 million. However, Abraham used $1 million to get a new home in a gated community. Things are looking great for Abraham. I mean, he won the lottery, he has a safe home, he doesn't even have to think about working ever again. Life couldn't be better. But something was wrong. 6 months passed by and nobody has heard of Shakespeare. It's not like he got killed for his money and was getting covered up for it, right? So now Shakespeare is declared missing. Police began investigating and they were actually able to find Shakespeare. Except he was dead. Shakespeare had been shot in the chest 2 times and was buried 9 feet underground over a concrete slab. Who could have done such a terrible thing to Shakespeare? There was a prime suspect. Her name was Doris Moore. She was the one who killed him. She had been telling people to pretend to be Shakespeare and pretend that they had seen him on vacation recently. She had helped form a business with Abraham where she funneled $1 million to her bank account, where she spent it on cars and a luxurious vacation. She was adamant to being innocent, however, the court saw the real picture. She had killed him for his money. She was sentenced to life in prison with no parole. The Georgia Lottery Winner Incident. Gregory Birch Jr. was a forklifter in Georgia when he decided to buy a lottery ticket. He felt his right eye twitching that day and felt that something good was going to happen for buying that ticket. But he checks the lottery winning numbers and his number doesn't match. Wait a second, they do match. His numbers did match his ticket. He won the lottery, and it was for $430,000. He felt incredible, as if he was in a dream. I mean, he's got a family, a loving girlfriend, and 2 young kids. With this money, he can give them a great future. He felt he should give some away to those who really needed it because he was fortunate enough to win the lottery. So he gave Christmas presents to those in need in the area where he grew up and was feeling pretty great about it. However, some people were seeing Birch and felt a little jealous. I mean, he did win the lottery after all and lived in the hood for the majority of his life. So one day, a local gang plots to steal his lottery money. They roll up in 2 vehicles in front of his new home and break in. Birch was with his 2-year-old son in his lap and his girl in the living room. They have them at gunpoint, demanding money from him. Birch pled that he'll give them the lottery money, but he got shot in the leg by one of the members. Meanwhile, another gang member searched in the back of the house and stole belongings from his girlfriend's purse. Then the member went outside to start Birch's truck in an attempt to steal his vehicle, but he failed. Thinking those were the last valuables he could steal, he went back inside to where Birch and his girlfriend were being held at gunpoint and shot Birch in the chest. He tried to shoot his girlfriend too, but the gun thankfully jammed. Unfortunately, Birch died from the gunshot and the gang members left his house. The gang members secured $200 and 2 cell phones. That's it, which frankly wasn't much. Now you're probably wondering if these members were caught, and they were. There were 7 members in total involved in the crime where everyone got different times. The shooter was sentenced to life in prison and 15 years on top of it. After Birch's murder, a new law was passed to allow people to choose to be anonymous when they win the lottery in Georgia. The Fatal Celebration Dinner. A man named Yaruj Khan was an Indian immigrant that strived for a better life in the United States. He started as a dry cleaner employee in Chicago, which he had no plans on staying as one. He later used the funds he made from working to own his own dry cleaner business. He would then reinvest his money into buying more properties to rent them out. Not a bad money strategy. Now, knowing this, would you think he would be the type of person to buy lottery tickets? Well, probably not, right? However, one day while waiting in line at a 7-Eleven, he decided to take his chance on 2 scratch-off tickets out of boredom. He buys the ticket, which were $30 each by the way, and scratches them off. And he couldn't believe his eyes. He had won nothing, at least on one of them. However, his second one, he had won $1 million. He was so thrilled that he got this insane amount that he handed the cashier $100 and thanked him. Khan's life was looking up. I mean, seemingly he couldn't stop winning. He had a successful business, properties raking in rent, and won $420,000 after winning the lottery. That's after tax, by the way. What could possibly go wrong? Well, 1 month passed and he collected the money from the gas station. The next day, Khan was pronounced dead at the hospital. Well, hold on, what caused his death so suddenly? That night, Khan had celebrated his lottery win with a traditional lamb curry dinner prepared by his wife. He had eaten the meal at the table with his father-in-law, his daughter, and his wife. He didn't feel well and later went to his bedroom after eating his dinner. He took a nap in his chair until a few hours passed by and he was found screaming in pain. He was hurried to the hospital, however, medical personnel weren't able to cure his condition, and it was caused by a cardiovascular disease that hardened the walls of his arteries. So they ruled out his unfortunate passing to be from natural causes and no autopsy was performed. But something smelled fishy, especially to Khan's brother. He won the lottery and he unexpectedly died the next day after he claimed it. So Khan's brother requests to re-examine the body, which they accept, and they find out that his body had actually been poisoned with cyanide. The death of Khan, which at first was written off as a natural death, had become a homicide. Now come on, it's obvious that it happened after he ate the lamb curry. Wouldn't the suspects be the people eating at the table? Investigators thought the same. This is what they had to work with. The cyanide that was used was strategic, as it was used to worsen Khan's already existing condition with his heart and be masked with a heart disease, meaning whoever used the poison must have known his condition prior to his death. Khan's father-in-law, who was at the table, had owed $124,000 in tax liens a few months prior to his death. Although the wife had insisted that she had eaten at the table with Khan, Khan's sister remarked that she was vegetarian, someone who didn't eat meat such as lamb. Now, that being said, the wife was questioned for 4 hours and remained adamant that she had nothing to do with the homicide. This is backed up by her attorney stating that she vehemently says she has nothing to do with it. Well, unfortunate for her or not, no further evidence has been found that could confirm who killed Khan. His wife and daughter fought in the court to determine how much each would share of Khan's assets, as he had no will, until they reached a settlement. The daughter would get 2/3 of his lottery winnings and his renting properties, while the mother got the dry cleaner business and 1/3 of the lottery winnings. As of today, Khan's death is still determined as unresolved on who killed him until further evidence arises. Bill Morgan's death? A 37-year-old man named Bill Morgan lived in Australia and was a truck driver that lived in a caravan, which is basically like a trailer. One day he was driving on the road, and he got into a deadly car crash while driving. Like, he almost died, that's how bad it was. He was at the hospital and paramedics were helping Bill with a heart condition he developed from the crash that could cause him a heart attack at any time. Now, he was getting medication for his condition as a patient normally would, but unfortunately the medicine he took for his condition backfired and it gave him an allergic reaction. This caused him to have a heart attack. His heart stopped for 14 minutes before he was resuscitated by medical staff. He was literally brought back to life. However, he had fallen into a coma and was stuck in this state for around 12 days. Doctors advised the family to essentially pull the plug since they didn't see him making a full recovery and he was likely brain dead. The family didn't listen, of course. They wanted Bill to survive. They couldn't give up on him. Luckily, another hospital could take in Bill that claimed that they could hopefully heal his condition. And fortunately, he did wake up from his coma and he made a full recovery at this new hospital. Now, he still had some heart issues here and there, but he saw this as a miracle, a second chance to live life once again. So several months passed by and he got engaged, secured a new job, and scratched off a lottery ticket that could win him a brand new car. Now, he didn't think he would win the lottery, but he actually did. He won a Toyota Corolla that was worth 30,000 Australian dollars in 1999. This was such a crazy story to come back from the dead and be blessed by a new car that news stations wanted to cover a story about him. One of the companies reached out to him and he agreed to reenact him scratching off the lottery ticket that won him the brand new vehicle. So he did. He returned to that same place where he scratched the ticket, and he did it in front of the camera. That was until he had realized that the scratch ticket that he was reenacting had won him $250,000. He was so flabbergasted that he thought he might get another heart attack. When he started convulsing on the floor, no, just kidding. He made a call to his fiance that they could now afford a new home. To this day, he appreciates his second chance at life and sees every day after his car accident as a literal bonus. JustJams.store, visit if you like the clothing I'm wearing here, and peace.